Welcome to yet another podcast of onRec. Today we have with us a very special guest who's designed for some of the India's hottest startups, including Cure.fit, toppr, and Media.net. And he's currently leading the product design at CRED. Please join us in welcoming the multi-talented and always cheerful Atul Khola. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so
How
much,
are you
man.
feeling?
Now I have to say cheerful. I was about to say tired, but now that you've said it, I have to be like, नहीं नहीं बहुत खुश हूँ मैं सुबह सुबह Saturday को.
I think the energy has been all set for the podcast, and let's just get started,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Pleasure to have you here, sir. So, how's your life at Bangalore lately?
I'm just thinking how honest should I be about this. Oh yeah, but I
You
think
can be very honest.
I shouldn't be is the question, but yeah. But I think it's going good, man. I think finally it's raining. I think it was pretty messed up for the longest time. I think the bubble around Bangalore that it doesn't need AC no longer exists. I think it definitely requires AC. It's as good as Delhi and Bombay right now. So, but that's getting better. So that's one good thing. That's pretty much the only thing this city offers right now. So I'm gonna take that. And yeah, I
Yeah,
think
you're happy about that, right? So, let's just start our podcast with your journey, Atul.
hmm,
So, from the very start, uh, what was your first design file like? How did you get up in the design field?
I think pretty horrible. Uh, I still remember the first design screen that I made. Uh, that I actually made myself. A lot of screens before that was put a dribble shot and then uske upar chalao your rectangle tools and try to map text on text, roundedness around it, just to understand ki ho kya raha hai.
I think
And I
we all
remember,
have done that at some point of time.
yeah, I think that's how you start. I think replication is where you really start. And I still remember being like, ये दो फॉन्ट के बीच में 5 का गैप क्यों है, 10 का गैप क्यों है, फॉन्ट साइज 12 क्यों दिखा रहा है, एंड व्हेन यू रेप्लिकेटिंग तब तो यू हैव ऑलरेडी मेस्ड अप बिकॉज dribble shots are already put inside like so many layers of aesthetics, right? So it's very hard to like guess that thing, right? It's pretty confusing. But I remember like when I so one is when you're replicating, you're still close to beauty. It is when you create something yourself for the first time with so less experience when you realize how horrible you are. Because when you're just randomly choosing colors and you're like, ये हरे के साथ लाल कैसे डाल दिया मैंने यहाँ पे. Yeah, and I think the first time I understood about gradients, I put it everywhere. It was मेरे font में gradient है, मेरे background में gradient है, सब कचरा. I think taste takes time. It takes time to develop. It takes time to understand what works with what. So yeah, it has been quite a journey.
I see now that you have developed a good look and distinctive style of yours. That maximal style of your website I've seen, and all the motion, the work that you have done on that.
Right.
How did you start up, or how did you work on your motions and graphic skills to be specific?
I think it's I think that's what I kind of over time realized. Like so many times you look at something on Dribble and you go like, wow, this is so good. Now, most of the times when you're kind of looking at things and you're finding the appealing now, there are only two reasons. One, you either resonate to it because it's somewhere close to your style, or the mere difference between how you see the world and how this person sees the world, that opposite kind of attracts you. I think over time you get better at understanding what belongs more to you and what are the elements that kind of you can slowly integrate subconsciously into that style. So I think when I started with this website, I made something that I could see everywhere, and I could eventually realize that I'm not able to relate to it. So then I just took a blank cardboard and I started creating how I would want to create this. And I think that is how eventually I got into this style and I realized like this is literally me. So even now, sometimes I look at something really cool and I start making things, and eventually I feel like I cannot do justice to that style because what naturally comes to me is very flamboyant shit. It's not those very classy grains and like those nice subtle like. I think for me it's like it needs that like chatka. That chatak thing is something it really clicks for me. So मैं घूम फिर के I think I was telling you about this data visualization thing I was working on, right?
Yeah,
First I
yeah,
was making very
right.
simple graph, visually good looking, sleek, and then I just chucked the hardware. I was like, no, I need my
You realize
texture
ki
kind of.
that's not your style, that's not Atul. Let's
Yeah,
just
I was
scrap
like,
and make it all the more flamboyant and all.
Yeah, like I want to throw in some paper textures. I want to throw in some chalkboard texture. I want to like make something different. I'm gonna do that. And actually, now I realized I was dreading this whole time until I kind of was designing it in a different style. But now that I've thought about what I want to create and I know it's clicking for me, I'm actually excited. It's Saturday. I'm not supposed to be sitting here and making this, but I know like I'm looking forward to like sitting on my screen and making some part of it.
Let's just discuss something about product design as well.
Okay.
So, how did you transition into product design? How did you start? Was it your college days or when you worked at startup? How was your design journey from the start?
Yeah, I think during college I actually started as a graphic designer. I was not supposed to be a product designer. I think graphics is a great space. I think you get a lot of control in terms of you're given an idea and you have a lot of control on how you want to communicate that idea to the world. And I think when I was working in my first company, like after college, officially toppr, I had this friend Malik who was the product designer there. And I think he used to just be like, why don't you try this? And I was like, अभी 4 साल पढ़ाई क्या अभी और वापस कुछ नहीं सीखने का, I'm good. But then we became really good friends, and I could see like how genuinely he wanted me to try this. So I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. And I was kind of curious about the kind of things he works on. It just looked very smart. The kind of things you would talk about, but users think this way. I'm like, this is like cool terminology. Graphic designers don't end up really thinking about this. For us, it's like, okay, what mental model, what kind of idea is gonna click, what's gonna be more relatable, what's funny. Like, there's a lot more different ways of things that you're thinking, right? And
Yeah, that all those research terms and empathy mapping and all those
yeah,
buzzwords, I would say.
the thing is, this guy is a first principle guy. Like, he's someone who's self-taught. So he'll never use empathy mapping and all of that shit. Like, he's someone just, he gets it so intuitively that for him it's a very natural way of thinking. He doesn't require frameworks to think about things that way. He just has cracked his own way around it. So the good thing for me was since he was my mentor, I also learned about product design through first principles. For me, Hicks law, none of that carries any value. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like the way that I've been taught by him is like think about it, put yourself in that person's shoes, and then think about it that way. And the thing is that shit lasts. Most of the things around thumb area में होना चाहिए all that shit. Like phone उसके बाद कितने बड़े हो गए हैं. Like phones no longer fit in your palm. They're fucking huge. That just doesn't make sense. Like अगर and it's so contextual also, right? अगर मैं कैशबैक का बटन टॉप लेफ्ट कॉर्नर में डालूंगा तुम हाथ से क्या पैर से भी बटन दबाओगे. So none of those rules really make sense anymore. So yeah, that journey started by going back home after office. रात को 9 से लेके 2-3 बजे तक sit and just make those uh, kind of replicate those designs from dribble, make all of those things, and yeah, eventually understanding the small fundas. But it's that is not what all it takes. Like even from a mentor, like I remember he had to sit and sometimes recreate every single screen that I did because I didn't get the padding right or something that I thought was not important was actually important. I think it requires a lot of investment from a person to like make the other person successful. So yeah, I had a good mentor, and yeah, I think
I
that's
think
where I
it kind
started.
of reflects in your that equation of successful product as well.
Right.
That equation of design about timeless product that you have mentioned in all of your profiles. Would you
Right.
like to expand upon that?
Yeah, it's actually sometimes people say that and then I'm like, क्या लिखा था मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, but I think I remember it. It's like beautiful UI plus efficient UX plus delightful interactions leads to a timeless product. And yeah, because I think that's those are the fundamentals I was taught. Not a guy who's gonna quote any of the laws or any of the quotes around design that good design is invisible. Like I don't believe that. I don't believe half the quotes around design that exist out there. But yeah,
I think people when they start, they kind of rely on those all those research methods. Like I said, empathy mapping karenge and all. I think that might help, but lot of beginners don't try to. They don't make sense of it, and that's been me also personally.
we see it's understandable. See, when we start now, we all need a structure or a framework to learn something. Like जब हम छोटे थे हमें ABCD पढ़ाया था. That was a framework only, right? You they teach you the alphabets, then you make words out of it, then you make phrases, then you make sentences, eventually paragraphs, and then you start communicating in that altogether. It's a way to learn how to communicate. This is a framework for it. Now, once you learn how to do it, then you don't have to sit and write ABCD every single time, right? So, somewhere I think experience gives you that. I think once you kind of understand the fundamentals, you understand the structures, you don't have to like stick by that. I'll do first A, B, C, D. That's how I get a result. Sometimes A, B, C, D becomes so implicit that in your brain only you kind of crack all those things. Some things are still important. Like I will not take that importance away. Like you need to do competitive analysis if you're creating something new. You have to learn from others' mistakes rather than creating your own. So you have to kind of do a lot of things that way. But some people they look at Behance, they fall for that idea of a perfect case study which requires those 7 steps, and then they enter an industry thinking that process is the king. They think like, oh, I need to do all of those things in order to create a good product, and people are gonna care about my process. But the reality of the job is, no one gives a shit. Like people at your job don't give a flying fuck which empathy mapping you did or what you did. All they want is a good design by the end of it so that the PM can take it to the dev and get it something out there. And the problem is we invest so much time in processes like that whole foreplay of thing, na, that primary research, secondary research, empathy mapping, went to a room, put out post-its, high fidelity, low fidelity, prototyping, सब कुछ करके प्रोसेस बाय प्रोसेस दिखाया, और एंड में तुमने जब स्क्रीन देखा लाइक चाहिए इतना अच्छा भी नहीं लग रहा. Then like what's the point? मेरे को 90% of the story के बाद climax ही fuck लग रहा है, तो I'm not gonna see the movie. I'm not gonna recommend the movie either. I think that is a major gap that I see from people who are entering the space. Like they forget like in the end the product is what's gonna be seen. अगर वो अच्छा नहीं है तो तुम्हारा प्रोसेस कितना भी अच्छा हो, नो वन गिव्स अ शिट. लाइक रतन टाटा का रतन टाटा का story everyone wants to know because he's that. No one wants to know other people who might have worked hard but never reached anywhere. Like those stories are invisible. No one wants to talk about them, right?
Yeah, I think you have a quite good perspective about this. So,
Yeah, I mean it's radical. It's not pleasing. It kind of kills that ideal image of like how things. But
कि ऐसे कर लो and you'll be all set.
yeah, I think some people might hate me
Uh,
for this.
hmm. But I think for most of the viewers, this conversation would be very enlightening. This perspective would be eye-opening for them.
Counting on that.
Yeah. So moving on to next section, you have worked at various startups in your initial year of your career. So what has been your experience with all those startups? You started with toppr, cult.fit, media.net, and how's the work culture there?
हाँ अच्छा तो लगता है वीकेंड पे बैठ के झूठ बोलूंगा सॉरी बट हाँ आई थिंक आई वुड थिंक लाइक it's a choice that I think I made, and I think over time I have gained confidence on some of those. I think I'm a person who would love to stick to startups and also like companies of smaller scale, companies that are more human, less mechanical that way. And I think that's what startups with around 0 to 5, 6 years while maturity are the best at. I think when you're growing and is a good challenges. I think if you think about differences, like you can work at a big company, but then what would happen is a lot of layers between you and the person who's kind of calling the shots. And whatever you create, like Google may, even if you have to change your icon, it goes through 17 different teams in different time zones where they figure out if this is okay in all different countries or not. That's how a single search icon gets into picture. Like that is तब तक तो मैं बहुत पक जाएगा. So I think for me it's very important that I handle a lot of those levers and I can push out things fast and I can do experimental shit. Like a simple sign like this can mean so many different things in so many different countries. So you have to be
Right.
very thoughtful about the things that you create. I don't want to create, I don't want to solve for the whole world. I don't want to solve for the whole country. I just want to take a small cohort and I'm going to have fun with that. I think that's what I feel I am kind of more interested in. Someone should solve for the bigger cohort. You can't do a lot of things that are very like experimental. You have to be very conservative. I think it takes away fun from designing for me. So hence I have over time figured out that what is my spot, which is like a small cohort, startup, fast, agile. And
Then what was the turning point in her life and you joined CRED? How did that happen?
I think CRED for me was a company. like I was a fanboy when I was outside. I think mostly it happened during the whole neomorphism design that they pushed out, because I remember Heartbeat Agency had put something on Dribble, and all designers out there kind of got polarized. Half people were like, "This is so beautiful, let me create Rebound," and other half was like, "ये तो feasible ही नहीं है. What's the point of this?" ये. And while these two people were just doing this, CRED came out with a complete app that works on the system. Like not just designed, fully developed, and to a level that is amazing. Like when you tap on the button used to like go top in, the lights and shadows used to change. Like it was real to to another mind blowing level. And I think for me, I was like, I love the fact that someone actually cared about these details, because till then my world was all about so much like I think it takes a very different kind of dev and design team to sit and be like, यार जब बटन दबता है ना, हैप्टिक डालो, लाइट ऐसा दिखना चाहिए कि एक surfacing होती है, right? The layer on top has the most amount of light. If I press it, it goes down. It will have lesser light than the surface around it. Like someone sat and thought about it, made those variants, and kind of got it developed as well. So for me, I was like, this is the kind of stuff I want to do, where I care about these things, because I felt like I was missing that muscle, and I actually did want to have it. But most of my time was going into conversations to convince people why we even need layers which are so many levels up beyond that. So I realized like it's a different kind of tribe that I would fit in better with. So I spoke to people at CRED. It worked out. Then I was a part of the team, and I think that's
Yeah.
when
So you
we
have
made
worked
NeoPop.
on the NeoPop theme.
Yeah. That was my first project that I led after I came here.
Hmm. So I wanted to shift our conversation now to CRED and its theme and its design principles. Just a follow-up question:
Hmm.
how do you think this NeoPop themes fares for like a lot of apps? Like generally, design community may we have this thing ki NeoPop we'll use, but for production level app, how does it? Do you feel कि CRED के अलावा और apps भी future में क्या इसको देखेंगे? Will this be a feasible option for other apps as well?
I think that way we made sure that it is. I think CRED, before it could launch its design system, I think Ashish launched NeoPop by doing all the hard work and put on design community, so we didn't have to.
Yeah,
Thanks to
there's
them.
a like NeoPop theme as well, open source. I think.
Yes. So that is for design. For devs, we launched an open source system which had pretty much everything that we had developed. So we pushed out everything, we made everything public. So now I think it's about, so again, we have given them all the puzzle pieces. Now it's very much on people if they can put it together and create something beautiful for themselves. But even that, see, the thing is, see, CRED is a team of designers that came together. But these designers were literally in every other company before this. Like I have been in 3, 4 companies before coming to CRED. Every single colleague of mine has. But there was a reason why we couldn't create something like CRED before. It is not like we suddenly got very talented once we came here. It's something about the ideology of the company, the freedom that designers get here, how it is supported throughout the company, and I think all of that comes from leadership. I think that's where my boss, that's Harish Bhai, that he comes in the picture. We were able to create this because this person fought those battles on that level for us, so that we could don't have to get into that. We could actually focus on creation. And sometimes even imagine like when you have worked under certain constraints your whole life, some things you don't think even if it's possible to create. So someone has to come and be like, no, you know what, there is a possibility. Dig into that direction. And every time you're just amazed that fuck can we. So I think for him, he was also that. It's because of him that he was there and he was like, dude, why? Go and make it. Now we'll push it out. We'll figure out how. And even beyond that, you need a dev team that doesn't go like ये तो feasible नहीं है. We have a dev team that goes like कुछ मस्त बनाओ ना ये क्या पक गए हैं बनाओ ना कि like try something, like give me something challenging. So it's so many
Yeah, they
different
want to
pieces.
push their boundaries.
Yeah, like I still remember when we made the NeoPop ka button na, we made it as a isometric button that has edges. So when you tap on it, they're like, you know what, give it to us. They literally took the button and they made the whole thing go tuck under haptic uske saath, change of lighting. Like this is a very well coordinated team effort across different spaces that come together to create something beautiful. That is why I don't think it's just designers that make it possible or one person. It's like so many things that CRED itself holds as principles of creation that gives you that space, that freedom, that kind of empowerment to create. And I think that's why designers hardly leave CRED. Like most of the people have stuck around. It has been so many years.
Mhm. So, who in CRED does all the graphics and these things? Because as a product, you also need your UX to be good, your UI needs to be good.
Right.
What about all the graphics and motion work? Who does it actually?
So I think we are around more than 50 of us right now in the team. And we are different teams. Like we have product design, we have motion, illustration, VFX, creative, marketing. All of us together are around 52. Every department has their own thing, but the one good thing is we all sit in the same space and we cross pollinate a lot. So right now I'm working on a project where I'm actually working with the animator from the marketing team. Now I design things around it, but it's a very interaction heavy space that I'm creating. And for
Yeah,
that,
right.
there's this guy, Akash Malya, amazing, amazing animator, amazingly fast, and the quality is also top notch. But his space of animation comes from what you see on TV ads. Like most of the TV ads that you see about Red are actually made in house by these guys. We don't go out, like, I think Microsoft, there are some of these studios that create those 3D class videos. Our all videos are made in house by our own team. Now, a person who imagines and thinks in that space, for him to think about all of that in this 375 by 60 pixels is not easy. So I think even for him, like I realized like throughout working with him for just like 4 to 5 days, he actually started understanding the interaction design principles of a phone, how to show this, and also he brings expertise of motion from his space, which is very new to me. So he's able to add so much value through his experience in that space while working in the constants of my world, which I make him aware of continuously. So it's a very amazingly well designed space for growth. Like no one is like मैं तो यही करता हूँ तो मैं यही करूँगा मेरा काम 9 to 5 है तो मैं तो करके चलाऊंगा. Everyone's like ये इंटरेस्टिंग लग रहा है ये करते हैं. We team up randomly with people like there is Indran who was mostly into creative space who now leads a complete charter of product design at CRED. Like people are very fluid in terms of skills. They absorb things around them. They move things and eventually they take care of things too. And they are entrusted that they can lead it too. So I think it's a great space that way.
Yeah, that's the culture at CRED that has been there, and I think that has contributed to its success as a product as well. Like I've seen some companies that might hire some external agencies and they don't have sufficient manpower. While this company they say कि design agency से करवा लेंगे, contract basis पे करवा लेंगे.
Right.
Have you experienced this thing in your career at any point, and what do you think about this?
Yeah, not in my spaces, but there are some things that you will require expertise in. Like let's say social media content. Now that is something that once you have set certain guidelines, it just requires repetitive effort on it. So innovation is something that we keep very closely to ourselves, and anything that is repetitive and requires just continuous creation that can be outsourced. And again, like innovation is something that definitely stays within. I think that space never goes out. Like I wouldn't like it. Like I wouldn't like a third party team to come and design the new design system for the company that I work at because I'm like, अगर 5 साल में मेरे को ये चमक मेरे से ज़्यादा I don't think at this point someone knows this product because I've been there. An agency cannot join in right now and have the context, the tribal knowledge of why certain actions were done. I think your in-house team is the best team for that. And some people still do that. Some teams still outsource those things. I don't know how that works, but definitely not something that I would ever want to engage in.
Also, there's another thing that if some there's less people in the design team, so they'll hire some intern. I think
Hire some.
that works. Hire some interns for doing the heavy lifting, I guess.
Think
So
about it,
do
dude.
you
Like
think that works?
interns can't do heavy lifting. Interns, see, the biggest scam that people don't understand is interns think that when they are joining companies, that companies want them to learn. Companies don't like companies are entities which are completely run on profit loss basis. Like they don't have empathy, they have a brain in terms of आगे पीछे क्या करना है. Now, what they are looking for is how can I, you know, there are certain amount of tasks which are repetitive, which are not the best utilization of resource. And again, let's think about it in the most practical way. This is not me, but I'm gonna try to put this in the most practical and transactional way possible. Companies like, okay, I pay this person XYZ. He's doing work that is redundant, repetitive. I don't think I'm getting the best value out of this. Why not I get someone that I can pay much lesser, who can take charge of this, whereas this person who I'm paying so much more can do the work that I really want out of him. Now, this is the equation how an intern and a company kind of bonds together. And over top of it, we have teams like HR and everything that, you know, that softbox this in a beautiful way that, oh, this is a learning experience, this is that. You end up learning in the process. That is the reality. We all have interned during our college days. There's a reason why they take interns. You are enthusiastic, you run on energy, you go and you push boundaries around exploration that people who have seasoned in this space don't. बिकॉज तब तक तुम लाइफ में प्रैक्टिकल हो जाते हो लाइक ये 9 to 5 की जॉब है इसमें इतना ही करना है इसका मेरे को लाइफ में चिल करने का है इंटर्न्स आर लाइक मैं तो सब करूंगा ये भी रिसर्च हाँ सब सीखना है राइट you are taken in for the enthusiasm that you bring in, the boundaries that you're ready to push, and the work that you're ready to do without complaining. And in this journey of doing this for 3 to 4 months, you understand the functioning of the company, you understand the work, and that's when you're ready for the system. They're like, okay, now this person is ready. Now, when I integrate him into the system, it's going to make life easier. That is when you start getting paid like a normal employee and you join it. So interns don't do heavy lifting; they can do the lifting that can be done, and so that someone else's time is freed up for it.
Yeah, I kind of meant कि they would do some, they would kind of do the work that a senior designer won't. So they get to do all the like basic stuffs. Maybe.
I think that's what your in is. Like I'll tell you another very different experience that I had with. I think Sayan is someone who joined as an intern, and this dude is again like insanely high on energy, blabbers the randomest funny shit, but I absolutely love the guy. I think I worked with him closely for 6 7 months, and in those 6 7 months, I've seen this person transition because energy तो insane था. So if I go like yes and try some variants of this, मैं 4 बोलूँगा वो 15 बना के लाएगा. And what happens in this process is, in a span of couple of months, I had so much trust in the guy that I'm very happy to be like, you know what, dude, you deal with this only. And sometimes I know I'm pushing into spaces which are very unknown, but just by the sheer hard work and enthusiasm, he would figure out that stuff. And I think now he has a permanent employee. He's doing really well, and I think he works on really important shit all by himself. There's no one accompanying him. So I think it's a the buy-in is transactional, but the journey after that is very like it just it's kind of like it's not transactional. It's a very highly engaging space where you kind of trust each other. It's a proper relationship that's formed between two people. So yeah, I just wanted people to understand that sometimes you end up thinking like internship देके कोई मेरे पे एहसान कर रहा है by teaching me something. I want them to understand it's not. Companies are not human, they're entities. They work on a very profit loss mind space. They're getting you here because they need something out of you. And you'll not always find the nicest people in these spaces also. You'll find all people of all size, shapes, and tempers. But when you find the right one, and if you engage with them in the right way, I think you'll have a beautiful journey that you'll actually reminisce.
I think I this also changed the way I think, and for audience, this must be like I really believe this must be very helpful to the audience. They must have gained a lot of value with this conversation.
Yeah, my sister is in NIFT Bangalore. She's currently uh, looking for internships. So this is something I keep telling her that she's like, oh, these guys are so nice. and they might pay me. I'm like, wait, they are not nice. They're trying to like, it's everything is transaction in this case. It's important like pushing that practicality along with the ideal world how it works for the vision. But yeah,
Yeah. Uh, we can say it's two-sided. Both sides get the thing that they want.
that's why it's working. Otherwise, the internship as a concept would have
Yeah.
failed years back.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's shift our gears and discuss a few other ideas that you might have across in your journey.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh, I would like you to talk something about hard work. Internet today is it's filled with those hustle-minded influencers. And what's your take on hard work essentially? What do you think about this?
Slightly differently. I think hard work is an important thing. Sabko karna chahiye. I think there were a couple of frameworks we built in design drug around this during build and everything where we said "Ki for 90 days you have to put in a lot of hard work to be there. But I believe in that being done in phases. I don't think it can ever be a permanent state of mind. I don't think it should be a permanent state of mind. Otherwise, it will make you insane, sad, and kind of a dull person eventually. Uh,
Yeah. I also feel कि sometimes it becomes very toxic कि everyone is running and you have to chase behind them otherwise you'll be left behind. मतलब भागोगे नहीं तो इस दुनिया तुम्हें पे चल के चली जाएगी.
that's a very crazy outlook on life. But so that's what I kind of thought about it for some time. I was talking with this one person, and I think he dropped me a text on Instagram. This person is like certain percent of his body is paralyzed. This person is a designer, so he doesn't have a kind of life that a lot of us have, like moving around and everything. And he said that can you talk about mental health because we talk a lot about creation and how important it is to be inspired and stuff. But what about the times that you're not? And when I looked at the world from his perspective, I actually realized like people should understand how lucky they are to have what they have and how they utilize these moments that they have with them. And I feel like, do you think you're someone who works hard?
I feel that I can work hard and I always try to think ऐसे और push हो सकता है और push हो सकता है.
Right.
But then I also believe in कि नहीं यार थोड़ा work life balance होना चाहिए. Exactly the same thing I'm trying to ask you. Where do you stand at in this spectrum?
Right. I tell you about myself also. I tell you about this thought that I had also. I think this happens to a lot of people. Like जब हम कॉलेज में होते हैं ना वी हैव दिस साइकिल ऑफ लाइक असाइनमेंट 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 सो यू लाइक हैविंग स्लीपलेस नाइट्स ऑल नाइटर्स तुम साथ बैठ के काम कर रहे हो एंड एक खत्म होते ही अगले दिन दूसरा सबमिट करें तो अगेन द रूटीन नाउ ओवर टाइम व्हाट यू एंड अप रियलाइजिंग इज कि यार एवरी टाइम आई पुट इन द हार्ड वर्क आई गेट सम रिजल्ट आउट ऑफ इट विच ब्रिंग्स मी हैप्पीनेस और जब भी ये राउंड मैं करता रहता हूँ फ्रॉम जस्ट द आइडिया ऑफ सिंप्लीफाइंग थिंग्स मोर एंड मोर यू एंड अप रियलाइजिंग दैट hustle or hard work is equal to happiness. Now, when you keep on doing this with this mindset, at one point in time, life becomes better because you have worked on it. So obviously things are working out for you. And then things start feeling a little nice. You're like chilling, you're not working, and then सब अच्छा feel हो रहा था and तभी there is this voice that comes in your head that fuck is this comfort zone? Is this the space that if I now don't, like this is where I'll always be. I'll stop growing. This is where I'll be stuck forever. It's important to sometimes take a step back and be like, wait, maybe it's not comfort zone. Maybe this is what everything I've done so far to reach here for. Like this is all the hard work that I did in the past was to come at a place like this, which feels nice without me trying to ragdo myself every day again, right? And this space is important because ये space अगर होगा तभी तुम्हें तभी then that's when you realize the difference between hustle and non-hustle. Sometimes it's important to have a cheat day on a Sunday, have a couple of pizzas and ice cream so that Monday को उठ के लगे कि यार चलो weekend chill मार लिया. It's important to get back to the gym now. Like sometimes it's important to go out for a party and be like आज काम नहीं करेंगे आज party करेंगे and अगले दिन उठ के लगे चलो कल कर लिया था now let's get back into this. Otherwise, when things get monotonous, they lose the essence of graphs. It's just a stagnant shit. And stagnant चाहे नीचे हो या ऊपर हो, eventually gets fuck all. You need those. ups and downs so that you can value the downs and the ups together. Yeah, saying like for anyone who's kind of listening to this podcast, I don't know if it's night or if it's a weekend or something, but once you're done listening to this, make sure this is not after which you start working. Like, go out, chill, maybe go out for some drinks, dance a little, meet your friends, have a good time after this. Like, make sure that you have those ups and downs for yourself because if you're listening to this, you definitely are someone who's hustling. Otherwise, I don't think anyone's gonna listen to a random design podcast while chilling, is what I'm hoping for. Have better chilling sessions if you are. So, yeah.
There's a lot of this work culture at companies, and you work 5 days a week, and then you have got weekend for your friends, family, and maybe your hobbies. How do you manage your time overall? मतलब, what's the time management techniques that you follow? Is it like time blocking? You just sit in for a good amount of time. You do the deep work and all those self-help things that out there.
I think I hate the idea of time optimization by itself. No, I mean, this is something I aspire to. Like, I aspire to have no plans around how I should lead a day. Like, that would be the ideal state where I just let life happen because time's running fast. Like, I think after COVID, we keep on saying COVID tha. Now you realize, bhai, usko 5-6 saal ho gaye hain. You can't keep on saying that COVID tha. Like, it's been quite a good amount of time since that thing has passed. Uh, like for me right now, I think I'm a culprit as well. Like my right now, my day starts at like 5:45 in the morning. I recently got interested in contemporary dancing, so I went for those classes. 7 to 9 is that. 9 to 12 is gym. Take a shower. Go to office. Office. Say you're back by 7, 8, and by doing like 5 to 6 hours of exhaustive physical exercise throughout the day, by the night you're like ready to drop dead. So I eat food, I'll do some kind of like socializing on maybe Instagram, and then I'll pass out. And this can be very like it nichoros you. You don't even I don't even have like to be honest, I'm also interested in kickboxing, skateboarding. If I had another hour or 2 hours, I would fit that in it too. But I think that's how we are like you want more out of this time. You want more out of your day. वो हो नहीं पा रहा है but this tells me that I have stacked my day to a certain extent where I have not even a single thing I can fit in more. If you are skipping fun for the routine that you've set for yourself, मतलब I think you should have that much space for yourself to have a good fucking time. I think इतना भी मत भरो खुद को कि कल को तुम्हारी चीज़ें आगे पीछे हो जाए. So yeah, I think again I say this, but at the same time I have created this for myself. So I don't think I'm kind of following my own words here. But if you haven't stacked up your day like mine, keep some space. Have that imaginary friend ka slot that if a random friend calls me today for have a chilling scene, I should be able to like keep that slot free for yourself. Like on your deathbed, you'll never remember the designs that you created on Figma or the routine that you followed or the days that you just slept on time. What you'll remember is these random nights that led to something really fun. So create more memories. Pixels तो बनते रहेंगे.
Again, on these lines only, we have talked about work culture in office and all the companies that make their employees do 5 day a week. Do you think a more flexible schedule with remote work that would be more productive for these people?
As much as I like the idea of it, I don't think remote work is this. And again, it's a very subjective thing. Like some people travel a lot, like an hour or two they spend with this. I'm not that guy. Work now is not fun by itself. Like I love design and everything, and I love what I end up creating. But the journey is not 100% on dopamine hit kind of journey. It's not like मैं बनाते बनाते मैं पागल हो रहा हूँ खुशी से. It's not that. तुम बैठ के दिमाग लगा रहे हो काम कर रहे हो ये कर रहे हो. It's still work. Fuck, this reminds me of that मैं प्रेम की दीवानी वाला ऋतिक रोशन. Like that dude's like on dopamine throughout. Like even if you love design, that is not how you feel when you're designing. The only thing that makes designing fun is when you have a great team that is around you. It's like watching a comedy movie. Sometimes you look at something funny and you just high-five and be like, fuck, this is so funny, right? Designing with a great team is like that. You make something awesome and you go like, fuck, dude, look at this. The other person goes like, bro, kya mast lag raha hai. Like, that kind of bond that you have around yourself now is what makes work interesting. If I have to just churn out work ना मैं घर बैठ के साइलो में काम करके मैं ज़्यादा काम churn out कर सकता हूँ, but then work is not fun. For me, it's very important that it is fun as well. So I would like to go to an office, surround myself with this team that I absolutely love, chill with them, go on lunch break, sometimes just go out for beers in the middle of the day, chill and come back and then go home. Like, that is what makes coming to office interesting, because that's where you have the people that you really connect with. And trust me, these are the people you spend more time than maybe the partners that you have, because your वो 8 hour जो होते हैं दिन के वो इनके साथ ही चले जाते हैं. So it's important to have a good team. And you learn from people not by just working with them. It's through those lunch breaks as well, which osmosis hota hai na. You're a sponge. You just absorb so much random shit going around you. Sometimes learn life lessons, or even like experiences they teach you by people when they share you. And people don't share about their life when they're working on you on a G meet. वो तो रैंडमली बैठे हुए हो, तुम दोनों कुछ कर रहे हो, किसी ने बात चालू कर दी, तुमने कुछ सुन लिया, तुम्हें कुछ पता चल गया. You end up bonding on that. And I think that's why when I tried remote work for some time, I was like, I don't think this is my thing. Like, I was in love with the idea of lying on a beach on a hammock on my laptop and creating designs. I was like, fuck, that is what life's gonna be if remote work comes in existence. Remote work came, I didn't do that. Maybe I'm not just that cool. But I think if I had to choose, and because I like design a lot, I would like to do it with people around me.
Work might like be monotonous and work was a load or and all in a remote work situation maybe.
Yep.
That's what I think you are getting up to.
I think remote work, matlab, not for me for sure. Baki people can figure out for themselves. Not for me for sure.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Uh, you must be doing a lot of things and you must be learning new skills each every day, right? So how do you go about that? How do you go about learning something new? What's your step one, step two, step three for this?
See, I'm very selectively curious as well. Like, there are few things I want to know more about, and there are few things I just don't give a flying fuck. I'm like, I don't think I look at learning as step one, step two, step three. There's only one step. Oh fuck, ये क्या है? अगर if my brain responds to it that way, then I'm in it. Then I'm learning everything about it. Like AI doesn't work, didn't work for me that way either. I was very happy not knowing about it till I felt like I need something. That's when I discovered ChatGPT and it clicked. I was like, fuck, ये क्या है? And now it's part of pretty much everything that I do. Like, I learned pretty much everything I can extract out of it. Now it's a part of my life and I use it to the best. So I think I don't have a step one, step two, step three. There's only one step. Does it make me curious or not? If it makes me curious, then I'm all in. If it doesn't, then you can talk about it, you can throw it at me, and I'll just be like, नहीं नहीं चमक रहा, नहीं जाना.
Suppose you are like अब मेरे को ऐसे करना है ये चीज़ सीखना है मेरे को आई गॉट दैट किक अब let's do this. So
Right.
how do you go about learning that stuff?
Yeah, I think some
What's the
people
journey
learn
going?
by uh, listening and reading, and some people learn by doing. I'm someone who only learns by doing. I can't, like, I'm not someone who reads books because I can't. I have very I get distracted very easily. So even for design, I'm not someone who look at YouTube videos and be like, oh, ऐसा होएगा. I'll just get my sketchbook, artboard, I'll start creating. और वो करते 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 I'll understand, and that will stay with me. Like, for me, creation is something that comes very innately to me. I have to like create something, only then I feel like I know something.
That's the way I think a lot of designers work.
Right.
Mhm. The next section, that next question I'll be asking you is about your influencer life. Uh,
I don't think I'm an influencer, but please go ahead. What do you think about this life?
my first question actually was, how do you feel being an influencer? So,
Wow.
since you already said that you don't feel like an influencer,
I think I'm someone who loves talking about design, and some nice folks like listening about it. So that's what brings us on this space, and that's what kind of gets the thing going.
But generally, I feel that the you have been an inspiration for a lot of new designers, and I feel they look up to you and they appreciate your work. So in that sense, I can say you are an influencer.
And that's very kind
So
of you to say.
that's what
I
I
mean,
mean.
yeah, I try to like make sure that if I have something new to share, I share it with people who I can bring some value to. But I think influencers, they do a lot of hard work. Like they create content. They'll go make YouTube videos, tutorials, talk about things that are new and fresh. Like I can see like that takes a lot of effort. And I think those people are supposed to be followed because they keep getting fresh content out for you. Like if I look at my stuff, I'm like I मेरे साथ कुछ funny होता है, I put a meme out of it. Like मेरे साथ office में कुछ fuck all चीज़ होएगा, I'll make a meme out of it and put it out there. Like for me, it's just like me communicating my own shit out there, what I feel about it. So I don't think I'm serving others. I'm just expressing. And I think because creation is that for me, it comes out through that. If it's making someone laugh or making someone relate to something about design or maybe even a way of thinking, I'm super fucking glad. But yeah, I won't demonize people who are like working super hard at it by calling myself one.
Okay, so you have been doing a lot of meetings recently. I've been following you, and I see a lot of sessions and meetings that you have been doing. How does this outreach and building this? I think this builds up a brand of Atul Khola. How does this? Uh, how do you look at this personal brand of yours that has been here?
I think I'm grateful. Like I think for the longest time we have this thing. Like I think so. I think this is something I actually thought about myself. I was like, there are so many voices out there. Why does this world need another voice? Why should I go out and say anything? Because there's so many people saying out there. You can simply learn from them. And then as I spoke to more people around me, I realized like maybe I think about things a little differently. And maybe it's worth sharing this perspective around. And I did. And I'm guessing that perspective resonated with someone, or at least they found it amusing enough that I kept on meeting more and more folks like how I met you at IIT Roorkee, right? I think somehow maybe it clicked with someone, so they wanted to listen more about this. I think that's how we came into this picture. So yeah,
Do you face criticism any on social media or anywhere in general?
I think my mom does that a lot, but I think that I can that I can live with. Like I haven't been like fucked over on the internet so far. Yeah, someone did call me like gay or something on a YouTube comment on a podcast. I know that because my then partner, she kind of created a fake account and then kind of got back to that guy on the comment section. So that was funny. But yeah, I think beyond that, I can't remember anything major. And someone called me like IT ka Shubman Gill and shit. Like that was funny, but yeah, like random comments. I don't think I've gotten strong hate so far. I hope I don't do anything to get it either. But I know like people are brutal. They can actually go after you like anything. So yeah,
Yeah,
hope not.
internet can be harsh a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah.
times. Uh, there's there has been a lot of influencers on LinkedIn as well, and as you said, they have been a lot of voices about design. They post daily up about design. How do you think that helps the beginners?
Yeah, I think I remember there was a point in time when people were very against the idea of it. They're like, "Oh, ye kal ka banda, how is he mentoring people? How is he doing that?" Like not about me, but people who are just starting out. And I feel that is such a like not so great outlook towards this. I'm like being good at design and being someone who can communicate ideas are two different things. There could be someone with 15 years of design but is bad at communicating and giving that value to other people, whereas someone could be 2 years of experience and some people are just good at sharing that value. See, you don't need 15 years experience that you can shed out in a 1 hour video. You learned something new. You can tell it to 10 different people by using a medium, and that's good. And I think the best thing about today's world and the internet and this generation is that content by itself is a commodity. If I don't know something, I can go and learn about it. And when you type like what is product design, you'll see 37 different people talking about it in different ways. All of that is important. For someone of my generation, it's not very easy to get on a camera and talk about things that we know. And trust me, you might know a lot, but if you're not able to push it out there, it's like as good as keeping a Mona Lisa at your home. No one's ever gonna fucking know about it. But the generation that's new, like these guys were born with phones and notifications pinging around them. Like for them, it's very easy to go on a camera. Like remember when Facebook started, no one used to put their own pictures. We had like cricket wali janta, cricketers की photo डाल रही है, सब डाल रही है. It later became a norm that you can put your own pictures as your profile pictures. This generation was born when putting your pictures was a normal thing. For them, it's very easy to get on a camera, talk about what they want and what they feel like. Like, let them make the best out of that. Why criticize?
Okay. And what do you think about people sharing AI generated, what they have prompted and generated on LinkedIn, on social media? Isn't it just their prompting skills that they are showing off? How do you feel about that?
I think it's important to do that too. I think there are people like me who are selectively curious who will not be curious if people like them don't put out content. If you remember, AI started by pehle the picture quality was not that great, and then it became better and better, and now it has reached to some another level of detailing. Now, for people like me, you have to bombard us with so many different versions of the same thing out there till we actually be like, oh, kya hai ye? See, there are so many things that might not make a lot of sense if you look at them in a very focused in zone. But if you like maybe zoom out a little, you will see how all of these things are going to create an impact eventually for us. And that too is important. So, yes, maybe someone cannot flaunt this as my core skill, and maybe it will not help them being perceived as, oh, I can have amazing prompts. Because, see, in the next 2 years now, prompting is not going to be a superpower. Like जो इंसान like output solve कर रहा है, the first thing they solve after reaching a potential here is the input. Like it eventually is gonna decipher what you want out of this and create something, because right now people, I don't know if you remember mid journey में ना इतने लंबे लंबे prompts होते थे when the first version came out. With every version, that is also becoming more and more simple. Now you just simply say something on Firefly, it creates that image for you. So this thing will keep on getting simplified and simplified. So don't look at this as a lifetime skill set that someone is trying to show. It's just a cool thing that grabs attention in the moment. And if you look at it, our world has turned into that. हमारे सॉन्ग्स पहले कितने लंबे लंबे टाइम तक सुन आ जाते थे, आज के टाइम पे देर इज वन सॉन्ग दैट इज एवरीवेयर एंड अगले मंथ इट्स नोवेयर. We are just accustomed to like quick dopamine hits and everything. And if someone can create that with something cool and maybe teach someone a thing or two in the way, why not? Make the best out of it. Again, I would say do more of it.
Yeah, like you mentioned that makes you feel interested in some other field.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that can be a medium of that something for someone. Hmm. So I think we are short on time. Let's quickly talk about design drugs. Okay.
Right.
Uh, would you like to explain how design drugs started and what was your intention and goals for design drugs?
Yeah, funny. Uh, when I was making my personal website, there was a section जहाँ पे I had put 5 blocks of different ways of connecting with me. And I was short of one block, so my composition was not balanced. So I was like, मैं क्या डालूँ क्या डालूँ. Then I remember that Discord पे I was helping out a couple of people get into design who were like close to me. So I was like, ये डाल देता हूँ तो बैलेंस हो जाएगा. तो मैंने डाल दिया. मैंने कहा वैसे भी इतनी बड़ी वेबसाइट है, लास्ट का सेक्शन है, कहाँ ही किसी को दिखने वाला है. Launched it on a weekday. By the weekend, suddenly I get a ping from one of my then mentees, Tejas, sweetheart. He's like, सर देखो क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे. एंड आई वेंट देयर एंड आई सॉ वहाँ पे रैंडमली 2000 लोग आ गए हैं जहाँ पे सिर्फ 7 लोग थे पहले. एंड आई एम लाइक, ओ शिट. मैं कहा ये तो नहीं डील करना मेरे को इसके साथ. Because क्या बोलूँ, I don't know, like I'm not someone who maintains a community, gives all of that. And then I was like, maybe if I don't say anything, it'll go. So I just let it stay like that for some time. Every time I opened, वो 5000 हो गए. Then I'm like, shit. And पीछे से they just went ahead and said कि we do cool things here because people started asking what do we do here, what do we do here, and I was like fuck. Then I was like चलो ठीक है, now that it is here, like I know I'm not a person who loves managing things. I'm like I just want to create, have fun, do my own thing, talk about things when I want to, but I don't want to be in this thing where I'm like I'm bound by this. And I think that's how Design Drug came. Like Design Drug was a brainchild during college that maybe have a space for people where they can come and they can create together. Like I don't want to teach anyone anything. Like जहाँ से सीख के आना है सीख के आओ. यहाँ पे आके अपन cool चीजें साथ में बनाएंगे. And
What are your plans about design drug in next 5 years? What do you think it? Where is it
that's the
going?
thing. It's going wherever I'm going. Like Design Drug was never supposed to be like. I think when we made Build, a lot of people said like, oh, it's a visual design improvement framework. Is that's what Design Drug is? I'm like, no, this is what I wanted to do right now. So it came through it. Then we came up with Guild. Then we came up with random things. Some of them went super well. Some of them were like, okay, okay. It's like, it's a personification of everything that I learn new and I find a gap in this space and I want to fill it. I come up with something and people who are in that space who want to join in, they join in. So right now, Design Drug is pretty, like, if you look at the Discord community, it's pretty khali because I haven't gone there. Like, I was going through some personal ups and downs in life and I was not in that space. And Design Drug is not something that I think I have now focused on for a couple of months. And I will do it when I feel like.
Do you think? Are you planning to give mentorship or any courses sort of thing in near future?
I never wanted it to be that. See, the day I turn it into a business now, then somewhere it will turn into. See, right now, it for me it's a joy. It's something that brings me joy. It is not a responsibility. The day I turn it into that, it will become a responsibility. Then I'll have to look at it in a very different lens. And I want to do it not just now. Like उसका शायद कभी time life में time आएगा तब करेंगे. But right now, I want it to be something that brings me sheer joy. Like everyone who got something out of this community, they're very dear to me. Everyone who trusted with their time and energy and effort put into a framework that I created, I absolutely love them for that. And they're very close to my heart. And I met some beautiful, beautiful people through it. And I'm very invested in the journey as designers as well. And I want to keep that outlook as long as I can. And it also comes with that we're like no one's supposed to be loyal to this community that stay here always. Like if I have something to give you, I'll come and I'll call you out with all the love that I have. That fuck, I have something crazy for you guys. Come back in. But if I'm not in that state right now, if I'm not in that mind space right now, go do other things, chill, enjoy, have fun, be in other communities. But yeah, when
Design
I have
Drug
some,
is a community that has been like a connecting place for one-on-one interaction when where you can meet new people and learn new things. I think it has been this way, and this will be in near future as well.
I hope so. I want it to be bigger than myself. I want it to go beyond what I
Bit
stand for.
beyond Atul, right? Hmm. So,
Right.
any final thoughts that you would like to share with our listeners before we wrap up this?
Right. Yeah, I think I'll repeat that. I don't know what time you're listening this, but if you're chilling and listening to this, find better ways of chilling. If you're not chilling, then once you're done with this, go out, have fun, get some drinks, you know, have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most insightful things that I also have gained from this podcast. Thank you so much, Atul, for this. I think
Thank you so
I'll
much for having me.
carry a lot of learnings from this podcast and this conversation. I like really loved all the incredible things that you have said and all the advices that you have given.
I'm
It
glad
was
I could be of
truly,
value.
yeah, it was truly a, I would say, pleasure having on the podcast, and I loved having this conversation. And I think audience will also appreciate this and take a lot of advices, take a lot of life lessons from this.
I think audience also
Thank you so
appreciate how colorful we both are in this. I just realized we both are wearing very colorful clothes right now. So yeah.
I think, yeah, I also feel audience will gonna appreciate this. Thank you, Atul, for being on the podcast. Thank
Thank you so much for having me over, and I hope you have a great weekend as well. But
you. Yeah. like his.